There is a word that was sold to you as a destination, middle class. They told you it was the reward for doing everything right, go to school, get the degree, show up, work hard, pay your taxes, and one day you would arrive. But no one told you. The destination was moving. Right now, in 2026, the global economy is undergoing a structural fracture so deep, so permanent, that the old map no longer matches the territory. The roads you were given lead nowhere. We call this the Great Decoupling. The moment when labor, the selling of your time, became permanently disconnected from the accumulation of wealth, not weakened, not slowed, disconnected, like a car engine that still runs, but no longer turns the wheels. You are still running. The engine is still firing, but you are going nowhere. And the terrifying part? Most people don't feel it yet, because the treadmill feels like progress. The paycheck comes, the bills get paid, life continues. And you realize you were never climbing. You were just staying afloat. This video is not a motivational speech. I will not tell you to believe in yourself. I am going to show you the exact architecture of the system that is working against you, and I am going to give you the only 3 pivots that matter in 2026. Stay with me. Imagine your savings as a container. Every paycheck, you pour water in. You work. You discipline yourself. You pour. Month after month, year after year. The water level rises, and you feel safe. But there is a crack in the container. You cannot see it. No one told you it was there. And every single day, your water leaks out. That crack is called currency debasement. Since 1971, when the United States severed the dollar from gold, every major central bank on earth gained the legal authority to create money from nothing, from pure digital intention. In 2020 alone, the U.S. Federal Reserve created more currency than in its entire prior history, combined. What does this mean for you? It means that the dollar sitting in your savings account today buys approximately 4% less every single year. That is the official rate. The real rate for food, housing, and education runs closer to 8%, which means your savings are not growing. They are decaying, quietly, politely, with your government's full permission. But let us make this concrete, because numbers on a screen don't hurt. Stories do. In 1970, the median American home cost roughly 3 times the median annual income. Today, that ratio is closer to 7. In some cities, 10, 12. The home did not become more valuable. The currency you were trying to buy it with became less powerful. The goalpost did not move because the game got harder. The goalpost moved because the measuring stick got shorter every single year, by design. And it is not just housing. The average 4-year university degree in the United States now costs over $120,000. In 1980, adjusted for today's dollars, it cost roughly $35,000. Healthcare premiums have tripled in 20 years. Grocery bills that felt manageable in 2019 now require a spreadsheet and a prayer. This is not inflation. Inflation is a weather event. This is a structural drainage. Slow, permanent, and invisible to anyone not looking directly at it. This is not a conspiracy. This is a design feature. The system was never built to make you wealthy through savings. It was built to funnel purchasing power upward, toward those who own assets whose prices rise with every dollar printed, while you, the time seller, hold a container with a crack in the base. And here's the piece no one says out loud. The leak in your savings isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. And to understand the leak, we must look at the container itself. The water doesn't disappear. It doesn't evaporate. It transfers systematically, invisibly, from the containers of the many to the reservoir of the few. This is not metaphor. This is mechanism. And understanding this mechanism is the first step to escaping it. In the old economy, there were two groups, workers and owners. But the gap between them was crossable. A generation of disciplined saving, a small business, a home in the right city, and you could migrate from the platform to the island. That bridge no longer exists. We now live in a two-tiered economy, not upper class and lower class, not rich and poor. The real divide is between owners of productive assets and sellers of time. And the critical word is productive. Owning a home you live in is not an asset. It is a liability that may appreciate. Owning compute, the servers running AI inference for Fortune 500 companies, that is an asset. Owning prime land in a supply-constrained city, that is an asset. Holding scarce, unseizable digital property, that is an asset. And then there is AI. AI is not a tool. It is not a feature. It is the final decoupling. For the first time in human history, cognitive labor, the thing that separated skilled workers from unskilled workers, is being commoditized at scale. A software engineer who took 4 years to train and earns $150,000 a year can now be replicated, in part, by a model that costs cents per query. This is not speculation. This is already in the earnings reports, already in the headcount freezes, already in the automated customer service portals that replaced tens of thousands of jobs last quarter, with zero announcement and zero outrage. Consider what happened quietly in 2024 and into 2025. Major technology companies reduced their total headcount while simultaneously growing revenue, not because the economy slowed, because the ratio of human labor required per dollar of output dropped permanently. And this is only the beginning of the curve, not the peak. The jobs being displaced are not just manual jobs. They are paralegal work, medical coding, financial analysis, junior software development, graphic design, customer support, marketing copy. These were the rungs of the ladder that the middle class used to climb. One by one, those rungs are being removed, not outsourced to another country, automated out of existence. And the cruelest part of this transition is its silence. There is no factory closing, no single announcement, no protest march to attend. The displacement happens across thousands of individual company decisions, each one rational in isolation and catastrophic in aggregate. The people selling time are working harder than ever, and the platform is sinking faster than ever. There is only one rational response to this reality. Stop selling time. Start owning the systems that buy it. The room with the glass roof is what we call the rain-proof room. Inside it, rain cannot reach you, not because the storm stopped, but because you positioned yourself inside a structure that is built above the waterline. In 2026, 3 categories belong inside that room. The first is Bitcoin, not as speculation, as unseizable property in a world where governments print and confiscate at will. Bitcoin is the only asset on Earth with a mathematically enforced supply cap. In a world drowning in printed currency, scarcity is the rarest luxury of all. The second is Tier 1 real estate, not everywhere, not suburban sprawl. Supply-constrained land in cities where migration is accelerating and construction cannot keep pace. The scarcity premium on these locations compounds quietly, decade after decade. The third is compute equities. The companies owning the physical infrastructure of AI, the chips, the data centers, the power grids feeding inference engines. These are not tech stocks. They are the toll booths of the new economy. Every AI query, every autonomous agent, every synthetic worker pays a toll. You want to own the booth. You do not need to own all three immediately. You need to begin. Even a fractional position moves you from the platform to the island. The direction of movement is everything. AI does not replace humans who can orchestrate AI. There are two human profiles that become more valuable in a world of automated cognition, not less. The first is the system architect, the person who can look at a business process and design the AI pipeline that runs it, who speaks the language of automation fluently, who can prompt, fine-tune, deploy, and iterate. This is not a programmer. This is a strategic operator. And companies are paying extraordinary rates for the rare individuals who qualify. The second is the high-trust human, the therapist, the litigator, the surgeon, the negotiator, whose value is not informational, but relational. AI cannot hold your grief. AI cannot argue your innocence before a jury. Trust, earned through presence and accountability, is one of the last remaining moats. If you are not one of these two profiles, you must begin building toward one, not in years. Now. The window to become a system architect is wide open today. It closes faster than most people realize. The Great Decoupling creates a transfer event, always, without exception. When a structural economic shift occurs at this magnitude, distressed assets appear. Real estate in the wrong cities, equity in over-leveraged companies, businesses whose owners panicked. These assets do not disappear. They simply change hands. The people positioned to acquire during a transfer event are those who held liquidity, cash, stable yield instruments, dry powder. While others were fully invested in the declining tier, these individuals waited. And when the moment arrived, they moved. This is the 2026 war chest strategy, and it requires you to make a decision that feels deeply counterintuitive. In a world where every financial influencer is screaming to stay fully invested, you must deliberately hold back. Maintain 15 to 25% of your portfolio in liquid reserves. Not because the market will crash tomorrow, but because optionality, the ability to act when others cannot, is itself a form of wealth. Think about every major transfer of wealth in modern history: the 2008 financial crisis, the 2020 COVID collapse, the 2022 crypto winter. In every single case, the wealth did not vanish. It transferred from the unprepared to the prepared, from the leveraged to the liquid, from the reactive to the patient. The people who acquired real estate in March 2020 did not get lucky. They had cash ready. They had a thesis ready. They had the psychological discipline to act when everyone around them was paralyzed by fear. That is not genius. That is preparation. And preparation starts before the event, not during it. Your war chest is not fear. It is not pessimism. It is the acknowledgement that the greatest transfers of wealth in history happen not during periods of growth, but during periods of disruption. And disruption in 2026 is not a risk. It is the baseline. You came into this video living inside an old story. Work hard, save money, retire comfortably. That story was written for a world that no longer exists. The currency has been debased. The labor market has been automated. The middle class was always a temporary equilibrium, held together by post-war conditions that have now expired. The Great Decoupling is not coming. It is here. The only question is which side of it you will be standing on. There are owners in this economy, and there are employees of the decline. Owners hold assets that rise with the money supply. Employees hold dollars that fall with it. Owners build systems. Employees serve them. Owners buy time. Employees sell it. The question I will leave you with is not how much money do you have. The question is, are you an owner or are you an employee of the decline? The answer you give yourself today will compound for the next decade. Think carefully. If this video made you see something you cannot unsee, that is the point. Subscribe to Wealth Logic. Every week, we break down the systems, the assets, and the pivots that the people building real wealth already know. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video with one person in your life who is still running on the treadmill. The water is rising. The room with the glass roof has enough space for everyone willing to walk through the door. We will see you inside.